What we do here on Skiba News Nation, please like and subscribe, and also share with others so we can grow the biggest truth-seeking community on the internet. Huge shout out to all of our Patreons out there. If you like bonus content, you want some extra Skiba News Nation stuff, please go to patreon.com/Skiba News Nation.
Welcome to Skiba News Nation, bringing you unfiltered views, news, interviews, discussions, and more. And now, here's your host, Jeremiah Skiba, award-winning musician and son of Rob Skiba.
With the son of the legendary Rob Skiba, Jeremiah Skiba, what's up?
With my great and insightful co-host, Mr. Jake Graham. It's like I don't even want to wake up.
He's on a quest for truth.
Something huge is coming. We're building the world's largest truther convention. It's called TrutherCon.
This is the place where truthers unite to explore knowledge, ask tough questions, to challenge the mainstream narrative.
But it isn't just a convention. It's a movement for free thought, open discussion, and the right to question everything.
We are bringing in some of the biggest names of the truther community, so expect deep discussions, mind-blowing revelations, and connections with like-minded truth seekers.
If you feel like the truth is being hidden from you, this is where you need to be.
And the best part, it's 100% grassroots, built by truthers for truthers, straight from our Skiba News Nation family. TrutherCon will be a massive networking event. I believe this is going to be the most exciting truther event ever.
October 2025 in Dallas, Texas. We hope to see you there. Hey Skiba News Nation family, welcome to episode 116 of Skiba News Nation, your weekly source of the latest news, controversial content, conspiracies, forgotten history, and TrutherCon, and so much more. I'm your host Jeremiah Skiba, and today we're going to be talking about fear-mongering, measles outbreak, American arrested in UK for posts made in the USA, swearing at police officers in Alabama can make you go to jail, scary Benadryl recall, Tesla takedowns, secret rogue deep state, Arizona replacing teachers with AI. Biden's whole presidency was not real. NATO countries are up to something. An all-new Opus Corner, and this week for History's Mysteries, we'll be talking about the Slinky Conspiracy, cults, cash, and the Rockefellers. Please excuse my sense of humor, volume 14, memes, and much more. As always, my great and insightful co-host, Mr. Jake Graham. What do you think of that new ad, Jake?
I love it, man. That is sweet, and hopefully it gives everybody a taste of what's to come.
What's to come for sure. I mean, it's going to be epic, and yeah, it's cool to see all those people that we know that have been on the show, and that's just a few of many that are going to be at TrutherCon, and I think it's going to be pretty epic. But yeah, how have you been, Jake?
Been pretty great. I'm leading up to a big wedding event this weekend. We've been preparing. My sister-in-law is marrying my cousin, so congratulations to the soon-to-be newlywed couple, Foster and Felicia. Shalom to your marital bliss. And yeah, so we're excited. We got a lot of family coming in. That's why I've been not in my usual location, but we're really stoked for that.
Well, tell them we all say congratulations. I say congratulations, and that's pretty awesome, man. So we had a great live stream yesterday, and I know we covered a lot of stuff, but I'm excited of what you have coming up on our current news today, because I have no idea as of yet, but I can't wait to see it. So you ready to dive into some current news?
Let's get into it, guys.
Let's do it.
right, guys, let's get into it. Now, if you missed our live stream, go ahead and watch last Tuesday night. We did a stream covering several different topics. Very interesting. We got into the pyramids and the things underneath the ground there. Opa shared a article this morning that the Egyptian authorities were releasing cease and desist to all the conspiracy theorists, which I thought was hilarious. So thank you for sharing with me this morning, Opa. But it's really interesting what's happening in the world. We have things like the discovery under the Giza pyramid. We have the stirring and rumblings of war. And I saw this recent post on X, and I wanted to read it because it ties into some of the measles fear-mongering that's going on right now. Check this out. Shannon said, "I've learned something about our ruling class over the past few years. If they'll do it to animals, they'll do it to humans. But only if we let them. We need to take back our dignity, humanity, and God-given natural rights. Emancipate." Right? And so the big V word in progress regarding the fowls that we consume, which is concerning in its own way. But let's watch this video and see what they want to possibly do to you, me, and people too, right? Yeah. No thank. That looks like a miserable experience for those little chickies, and then we grow them with a bunch of hormones and fatten them up, and then we put them on our dinner plate with God knows what injected into their body. Yep. But this is tied to the recent fear-mongering regarding measles outbreaks in Texas, and here is how it was portrayed in 1969. Maybe Opa can comment to this. So this is how it was portrayed on TV in 1969.
What are you doing home from school?
They sent me home. Measles.
That's either measles or a strange case of red freckles.
You have got a temperature.
They told me 101.1. What's the record?
Never mind.
Oh, are you sure it's the measles?
Well, he certainly got all the symptoms. A slight temperature, a lot of dots, and a great big smile.
A great big smile.
No school for a few days.
Say hello to my dotted son for me. Tell him I'll bring him some comic books and I'll see you later, dear.
Okay, honey, bye.
Boy, this is the life, isn't it?
Yeah. If you have to get sick, you sure can't beat the measles.
That's right. No medicine.
Inside or out. Like shots, I mean.
Don't even mention shots. Yuck!
Measles, measles, measles. Well, all the kids have now had the measles.
So have I.
Well, I had them years ago. Looks like the Bradys are finished with the measles.
Hold it. You're not through yet.
Alice, don't tell me you're coming down with the measles.
Oh, I hope so. I'd hate to think I was just learning how to blush at my age.
Hi. Dad says I should go to school.
7 students confirmed with measles, 4 others possible.
Wow, they had to have...
These moms never their kids and lied about it. These are harmful.
You are endangering the health of every child in this city. Liv, no, it's turning blue. Call 911.
All new SVU.
Okay, so I had to, of course, heavily censor that and bleep every time they said the nasty V word. But it demonstrates to you how the drama lever has been ramped up because they want this. Once again, they want this. They want us to be these chickies that line up to just get whatever they say is necessary put into our bodies. And it takes the fear, flight or fight switch to be turned on for us to make lasting covenantal decisions, right, with our docs. The men in white lab coats, they want people funneling in to get the preventative measures. And I think that's it's very telling, and it's very interesting to see the transition in intensity from how it was depicted in the 1960s to how it's depicted now. What did you think about that Brady Bunch clip, Opa?
Well, I remember measles back in my day. Luckily, I didn't get them, but I think people back then were kind of oblivious to how dangerous measles could be, especially to older people. You know, the kids didn't have a problem, but if you're an old person, it could kill you. And the other thing is that, of course, we know that getting the measles later in life, especially when you're older, the possibility of getting shingles is there.
And I know shingles is like the secondary stage of chicken pox, correct? Where if you didn't get chicken pox as a child and you get it as an adult, it shows up as shingles?
No, it's just a latent, it's dormant in your body, and some people get it later in life and some people don't. They don't know what causes it to reappear, so to speak. But you know, that chickenpox and measles back then were, like I said, most people were oblivious. It was like, oh boy, no school, or you know, I can't go to work, ha ha ha. And then later, as time went on, they discovered how dangerous, especially pregnant women too, for measles. That could be very bad for them and their baby.
Yeah, I'd be interested to look at the numbers of fatalities over the decades regarding measles. Like how many people actually die that are not VI'd, and how many people like suffer more adverse effects versus the milder case that happens in children. Worth doing our research, you know, since it's definitely being pushed as an outbreak that's, you know, taking over Texas right now. So you guys better, you know, watch out for anybody with spots down there in Texas, you know.
Mm-hmm. And it's actually spread now to other states. I can't remember which states, but probably Oklahoma, some of the adjoining states.
All right. Well, here's this next clip that I thought was very interesting, and it has to do with how the medical industry creates a causative relationship with sometimes the symptoms and then the things that they want to treat. It's the Hegelian dialectic playing out in front of us. Check this clip out. All right, so I'm going to play this and pause it so we can read each of these slides because I think they're very telling. The contraceptive pill has no side effect. This pill makes you not have your menstrual cycle and just simulates the period. It makes you infertile and disrupts your hormones. Most issues that are treated with the pill can be fixed by lifestyle and nutrition changes. You need fluoride toothpaste. Fluoride is toxic. It can lower your IQ and damage cell. Also calcifies the pineal gland. You have to use sunscreen to protect your skin. Sunscreen is one of the most carcinogenic products. It disrupts your hormones and is full of toxins. The sun is your friend. Stop consuming seed oils and you won't burn in the sun. Oats are healthy. Oats are the cheapest product to produce and is fully processed and has no benefit for your body. They destroy your gut, but of course the government wants that so that you can pay for their remedies. Tap water is safe to drink. Have you ever checked your tubes? They're rusty and carry lots of bacteria. Tap water has a lot of hormones, heavy metals, and medicine residue. You are risking your health by drinking tap water. Protein powder is healthy and is needed to build muscle. Natural whey is healthy. However, protein powder has a lot of substances such as artificial sweeteners, which destroy your health and your gut. You can have amazing results in the gym without protein powder. Red meat is carcinogenic. Well, cancer is a new disease. Red meat has been consumed since centuries past, thousands of years. A human could survive just off of meat. Do you really think that could be bad for you? Only drink pasteurized dairy. Raw milk is the only type of milk your body can absorb, as it has lactose and lactase. It's got the enzymes that are necessary for you to digest it right. Pasteurized milk is empty and has no vitamins or enzymes. It has zero benefits. Raw milk can, in moderate amounts, build your gut and clear acne. 7 things you need to be taught in school. Sunlight is everything. Sugar is the enemy, not salt. We are in control of our health. Weights. Cereal is not healthy. Seed oils are not healthy. Shilajit is the only supplement you need. I guess this is a pitch for the Shilajit. Yeah, of course, he posted his bio. Introducing... Okay, so let's see here. Let's get past this. Give them pills they don't know the side effects to, right? So what we're seeing here is a consistent pattern from the medical and food industry. The FDA kind of backs it all up and gives them their stamp of approval to dish out these substances to the general populace as safe and usable for treating different things or something that's not going to adversely affect your health. And yet they oftentimes come from a position that is the opposite of truth, such as the demonization of salt and the beautification of sugars and artificial sweeteners, and not to mention what's being exposed with the Maha movement and the dyes that have been approved, petroleum-based dyes that are in our food, and the carcinogenic forever chemicals and things that we're allowing into our body through the very things that are all so delicious and beautiful looking at the gas station or whatever. And it's really, really telling. And it's very hard to overcome this, guys. It's hard to not buy that thing you've been addicted to for many years. It's hard to try to find a healthier alternative. And it's very hard to not allow fear-mongering to convince you to put things into your body that they say will protect you from likely real diseases like measles that are very dangerous, according to OPA, to certain generations. But there has to be more natural remedies and alternatives than witch's brews that we put into our body, right? Let's carry on to this next story, which is now apparently Americans can be arrested in the UK for posts made in the USA. Check this out.
Now get arrested upon entry into the UK for social media posts done in America. Meaning the UK has just joined the likeness of countries like North Korea and Saudi, where they do not recognize Americans' rights. The American Center for Law and Justice says that if an American speaks in the United States in a way UK officials construe as affecting their national interests or even producing substantial effects within the country, even if that's just a statement about your Christian faith or your political stance, then you could be arrested upon entry in the UK. So the UK does not recognize the United States' First Amendment right of free speech.
Whoa, that is very, very serious. Let's read this comment. It's the Online Safety Act 2023 gives UK authorities the power to prosecute individuals for harmful or offensive speech online, even if the content was posted from another country. This means that Americans or anyone could face legal action in the UK for social media posts they made in their home country even years before traveling there.
That's crazy.
Under this law, oh man, oh, you know it, man. Absolutely insane town. Guys, the world is very quickly changing. And with what Elon Musk has done with X and trying to preserve freedom of speech here in the United States, whether good or bad in your opinion, you have to see that the agenda that was rolling out in this country before, with Twitter being used as a censorship hub for people they disagreed with, even to the point where the American president was kicked off of Twitter. All of this social media censorship that happened over the past 5 or 6 years, and even before that, starting with, believe it or not, the FE topic is really where we saw censorship kind of roll out, because controversial conspiracy information was deemed as harmful. And now we're seeing that not only is censorship happening around Europe and all of these other countries that we've been hand in hand with in terms of ideology and progressive beliefs, but now if we show up in Europe having a different opinion or speaking out against their transgender policies or their really liberalized views of how the family unit should operate, and we're commenting on this or even sharing our Christian beliefs, that they can arrest us upon entry? Insane world. Insane. Insane.
I guess my vacation to the UK probably is off now.
You aren't going to the UK.
Hey, I have wanted to go to Scotland because apparently there's a land of Grant out there from my long-lost ancestors. So if you do want to go, Opa, I wouldn't mind going with you. And if they do arrest us, I'll sit proudly in that jail cell with you, and we'll make a special report.
Hey, let's all do it. UK. Yeah, let's all do it. Skiba News Nation exclusive jail time.
Oh, man. And see, guys, the reason I share this story is, why should we care about what's happening over there in Europe? Why should we care about what we covered in our Tuesday live stream about the Islamification of Europe and the UK? Well, generally, there's a rule of thumb that the UK, Europe, Australia even, is around 10 years advanced to what is eventually going to be pushed on the United States' populace. The amount of control we saw in terms of medical misinformation and manipulation of the populace in Australia back in 2020, we're likely going to see that manifest in the United States in 2030. What we see with the Islamification of Europe and the UK happening over the past decade, we're going to see that kind of be introduced in the United States as well. And so not only do we see the infringement of the freedom of speech as America defines it happening, we're seeing the very beginning stages of it show up here in America. And so this next article, check this out. Apparently in Alabama, swearing at police could soon lead to a year in jail. Opponents say it makes protest impossible. Wow. Okay. So this story is an Alabama House committee Wednesday held a hearing on the bill that would allow law enforcement to arrest people who direct abusive language at first responders, make obscene gestures, or linger at a response scene after being ordered to leave. And this is how it starts, guys. This is the slippery slope. Here's their justification, of course. We have seen where firemen are trying to do their job, whether it is trying to hook up a hose that may be a block away, and groups of individuals are impeding their ability and put lives in danger. So, it sounds like a good thing, right? Oh, we need to help the firemen be able to hook up their hose. But at the same time, this is the slippery slope. That is how the First Amendment is eroded away. And eventually, our First Amendment will be taken for the greater good. And so that's what we're doing here on Skiba News Nation, is we are trying to take full advantage of the freedom of speech while the opportunity and use of it is still here, to talk about truth, to talk about different perspectives, things that we might even disagree with, or ideas that might even be wrong in your opinion, or we might be wrong, but there's always the chance that we might be right on some of these nuanced topics. And so the ability to speak freely and openly about our beliefs and our values is so important in the pursuit of truth. So with that shared, let's check out this next clip, which is apparently the freedom of speech that the South Africans have. This was recorded just recently, and it is utterly shocking what is being said about the white farmers in Africa. And this is the kind of people that are being supported, and they're committing genocide and and the atrocities that are being committed in the name of, the oppressive white man is crazy. Check this out. So in South Africa, apparently their freedom of speech is to shout, "Kill the Boer, the white farmer." And this is the kind of ideology that's being supported by liberals in the United States. Wow. Utterly shocking that things like this are going on in the world today, and the media is not talking about it. The mainstream media is barely even referencing this. So Hunter Biden, of course, is seeking refuge in South Africa, and we saw recently in a live stream how Donald Trump has removed Secret Service protection, and he's finding refuge here in this nation. Oh, very interesting. And man, it is so insane. And not only the fact that we have murders happening, thousands of Christians around the world are being beheaded and killed in Islamic state-controlled societies, and the media is not covering it all. Just recently, 70 more Christians were beheaded, and if you had 70 individuals of any other cut or ilk beheaded, it would have been all over the news. People would have been talking about these tragedies. The Syrian Christians that were just recently massacred. All of this is happening right now. Terrible things are happening. Genocides are happening in the world. But because it's happening to white Christian conservative people in certain places, and it doesn't support the narrative of this new liberalized neocon agenda, it's not being covered. And I think that's, what our role is, Jeremiah, is we have to talk about these things that the mainstream media doesn't want to talk about. And the reason they don't want to talk about it is because it doesn't support their official agenda. And it's just bad press. Yeah. But with that said, here's another connection to kind of what I started off our news segment today. Apparently, thousands of bottles of Benadryl are recalled due to child poisoning risk. Very interesting. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission just announced a recall of 2,300 bottles of a popular allergy medication due to serious child poisoning risk. So, of course, be careful out there. Get your Benadryl fix. I know all you crunkers love the Benadryl, but be careful. All right, so this next story is a interesting video about chemtrails, and it's very telling. So this next story is a breakdown of chemtrails, and it's very telling how close-eyed it seems our government is being about chemtrails and their effects on us. Now, I've heard it said that a chemtrail is going to affect you 100,000 times less than the McDonald's burger you eat, right? But the truth of the matter is that this is an observable phenomenon that has been proven to be a real conspiracy fact, and yet Make America Healthy Again has not released any information on when these things are going to stop. So let's check out this next video and how it really does, reveal something about your intellect when you can look up and see those crisscross spiderweb patterns and go, those are only contrails. Check this out.
Look at pictures like this and agree that it's a conspiracy that's long overdue for departure. To us conspiracy theorists that only followed the Bible as truth and not fact checkers or whatever this is, three-letter agency ran news agencies, it's extremely obvious that the sky should not look like a tic-tac-toe board. But the sad reality is that they think that we are dumb and post things like this. This scares me because I failed high school science. I'm not even sure like what this means to NPCs. It doesn't even like remotely make sense. But I'm showing you this to show you that we are at the end. These are the people being assigned the mind of the beast of the field in the book of Daniel. To us, this is blatantly obvious that they're doing something and that something is wrong. But people without God literally can't see this. Even if they wanted to, they can't look at this and see it as anything other than normal. So if you feel outcast or you have these people calling you stupid or whatever, thank God that he removed the worldly delusions from your eyes. Because these people truly think that this is normal and that this is somehow science or that these are like new types of clouds. I've heard the craziest things from them. Most normal people will look at pictures like this and agree that it's a conspiracy that's long overdue for departure. To us conspiracy theorists that only followed the Bible as truth and not fact checkers or whatever this is.
Okay, wow. So I loved how she described the correlation with the days we live in and how people who continually love the lie, continually love the official mainstream narrative, they're assigned the mind of a beast. And when you know the story of the book of Daniel, of King Nebuchadnezzar, who, because of his pride, he was cursed for 7 years to eat grass like an ox. And he roamed as like this like raving mad king who was like a werewolf style beast man, right? And man, how profound to describe the mental state that pride and trust in the system at large will cause people to be in. Because no matter how much reasoning, how much common sense is not so common anymore, you know what I mean? But no matter how much truth is laid out in front of them, because they love the lie, because it buys them comfort, it buys them more time to remain in their wickedness, they then are assigned the mind of a beast. And no matter how much truth is shown to them, their eyes are blind and their ears are stopped up because they had not a love for the truth that they could be saved. Man.
Right on.
This next picture is really interesting. I covered in our last episode of the JFK files and how it was very telling that the one thing that they requested be redacted still was references to Israeli intelligence and Israel. And here's a close-up of the JFK documents and their request to, declassify everything except things in brackets. And this is a document from 98, but let's just look at this real quick. CIA has no objection to declassify and or release of CIA information in this document except brackets. Lee 8798. And what specifically is in brackets? The Israeli Intelligence Service. Oh, man. Oh, caught red-handed. Caught red-handed. Caught oh, man, I should
Easy
not
there. Easy.
make that joke. Okay, so this next little video is right along these lines, and it is so funny to me because it's so true. What does it look like when your son starts to wake up and realize the grander conspiracy of the world cabal? Check this out.
Son, you know, once you start, there's no going back.
Dad, why do all the presidents have to wear that tiny hat and kiss the wall?
Son, you know, once you start, there's no going back.
Oh, man. We're going to keep it very vague because we got live censored in our previous live stream last week, just showing an Israeli news clip. And because it, I guess, interferes with whatever propaganda they have going on, we went from 400 viewers to 40 in the span of like 2 minutes. And this censorship and redaction of the involvement of Israeli intelligence is live and well. But speaking of Jewish moguls and Kabbalistic main men pushing transgression and liberalist agendas on the world, let's look at this new news report from Dabu77.
What's up, guys? Dabu7 back at you again. This time, everybody should prepare for chaos throughout this whole weekend and maybe on from here. It looks like these Tesla takedown events, as they're calling them, are going to spread. And we got word now that this group that's funding it through George Soros, it's called Indivisible, they're plotting to hit multiple cities all throughout the weekend. So you're talking more of what we've already seen plus some other stuff. They're targeting the charging stations. They're targeting everyday people's vehicles out there, the Tesla vehicles, burning them up wherever they sit, keying them. They're shooting up the Tesla dealerships and all types of stuff. The AG's come out and said that these are being deemed acts of domestic terrorism. So now this label's been created that they can use at any time from here on out. People are going to say, good, use it on them and this and that. But later down the road, when the right decides to rally for whatever reason, that same label is going to be used against them. These are the things you have to watch out for. Anyhow, this is going to go to a new level. We've got the warning signs all over the place. Ezra Levin and his wife are the ones responsible for taking George Soros money through this group called Indivisible. And they've gotten millions already. And they're putting that money to work by getting activists on the ground to do all this stuff. So these are called Tesla takedown events, so that you know. And throughout the weekend, many places are going to get hit. So just a heads up, if you got a Tesla out there, expect it's being targeted right now. This is only going to amplify, it seems. But I break this down further in more details on the live streams.
Oh man, it's a bad day and age to own a Tesla vehicle. Very interesting, though. His point that I fully agree with is the Hegelian dialectic nature of, oh, it's so bad, they're burning down Tesla and bombing Teslas. Well, let's label it domestic terrorism. And so now they've made a status quo, so to speak, of what they, that they have the powerful term of domestic terrorist that they can slap onto stuff. And in the future, that same terminology and heavy-handed response can be used for other people and other groups that they deem domestic terrorists. So it's kind of a slippery slope. Not that it should be condoned, the fact that they're spray painting Tesla and throwing Molotov cocktails at vehicles. None of that's good, but it is a very slippery slope. And it's a precedence that's set that could be very quickly flipped on anybody they deem too radical.
Yep.
Okay, so this next story is very interesting. This is a coverage of how Chief Justice Roberts has been caught taking part in a secret rogue private intelligence agency at the heart of the deep state. Check out this breakdown from Alex Jones.
The American Inns of Court. The Inns. Oh, you get your in. Enhancing the legal profession by joining an American Inn of Court. Inspire and improve the legal profession. Engage in opportunities to learn or educate others. Network and gain access to colleagues on cases you're on together. Achieve greater goals. Let's read deeper. And it openly says, it says secretly, meet with people on cases you're on, meet with the judges, meet with the lawyers. And it talks about people of high worth will be there and other government officials, and the Justice Department meet with prosecutors. The American Inns of Court are unlike traditional bar associations, but are social clubs that provide for secret ex parte, secret talks, communications between financially strong attorneys and judges. Financially strong. People that can take care of you when you do the right thing. A social club, common membership of judges and attorneys representing parties, creates the appearance of bias. That's what's going on. See, oh, but we're secret. The American Inns of Court have changed their character as bar associations as they made the membership directly confidential from disclosure for all Inns of Court after sometime 2008. Secret society, intelligence agency. Their practice of temple bar scholarship and pupillage groups also violates Rule 5-30014 of California Rules of Professional Conduct by allowing ex parte contracts and gifts. The petition for writ of certiorari has been reviewed based on the opinion of the clerks of the justices, except Justice Gorsuch. Therefore, contracting the clerks and making gifts to the clerks violates Rule 5-300, as they have the power of making recommendations to the judges. One major member benefits, they're telling you, here's how you get around the law. One major member's benefit, as shown in the video of American, oh yeah, guys, get the video, I'm going to send it to you, of court membership benefits that has been posted on YouTube. Attorney Manuel Sanchez stated, "This is the only organization that I know of that the lawyers and the judges belong to. The trial bar have a chance to meet outside of the courtroom in a social setting and really able to establish rapport." All right, the latest numbers that Elon Musk and Trump have put out from Doge last week, we haven't gotten new numbers yet. They found a bunch of other money, but they haven't added it together, is about $1.6 trillion of stolen, diverted money to Democrat Party globalist organizations, not just here, but around the world. And then looking back over the years, it's the last 6 or 7, because it was happening even when Trump was in, he didn't know, but accelerated under Biden, $2.6 trillion of fraudulent Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security to bank accounts in Europe. And in some cases, they're using one Social Security number tens of thousands of times. And the government didn't shut that down because they're sending it to themselves. So when you look at that and you think, what else are they going to find? Because they're just getting started. Well, what about the judiciary? How do they corrupt these judges? Well, they find lawyers that are political. And you see a judge on average getting paid a couple $100,000 a year. Some of the higher level ones, $300,000, $400,000 a year. And then they live in these big mansions and they fly around on private jets. Most of them, Clarence Thomas doesn't. So you're always hearing about how he is really corrupt, and there's no evidence of that because he's not in their club. But Justice Roberts, Chief Justice, well, he's definitely in the club. Hundreds and hundreds of injunctions and all the rest of it against Trump in just 60 days, more than all previous presidents combined. And President Trump came out yesterday and, quote, demands Supreme Court step in after federal judges block his agenda. These people are lunatics, he said. And then Chucky Schumer, we'll play the clip in a moment, went on television and bragged that they were able to get all of these leftist judges, 235 of them in just the last few years, so they could block Trump's constitutional actions. I mean, almost all of what Trump is doing is completely cut and dry under Article 2. Some of the things he's doing, I've looked at it, are going to have challenges, but he's got the will of the people, and Congress just needs to act. Like, can he really completely abolish the Department of Education himself? We can cut all the funding and essentially do it. And Congress can also rein in these judges and their jurisdictions. But definitely, compared to the Democrats, it's night and day. I mean, they're the ones that are assaulting the Constitution. They're the ones, the Washington Post and New York Times running headlines last year. It's time to get rid of the Constitution. The Constitution's a problem. Just type that in. You'll get Politico, all of them. Don't do your own research. Believe what you're told. These are actual headlines. I know, hard to believe, but you've seen them. So here's a clip of Schumer. I mean, just a few weeks ago, oh, this isn't political. These aren't political judges. And all the judges that have been trying to freeze on funds and let the money flow, whether they're in Rhode Island or whether they're in D.C. or whether they're in Louisiana or whether they're in California, in every case, their wife, their daughter, their husband runs giant NGOs. I mean, the judge in Rhode Island, hundreds of millions to his own NGO that he runs. And he basically paid for his political appointment, for his judgeship. That was in the news when he was getting put in. And he released money that was ordered money release that Doge had blocked, that Trump had blocked, constitutionally, legally, lawfully, properly, perfectly, to himself. By the way, the crew just searched for 30 seconds and pulled up, is it time to torch the Constitution? The Constitution is sacred. Is it also dangerous? I mean, is it time to torch the Constitution? New Yorker magazine. Oh, but now the Democrats, the oligarchs, the tyrants, President Musk, he's a Chinese agent. China. Even the dumbest person knows that the Democratic Party has been riding the Chi-Com ding-a-ling. There are a few Republicans like Mitch McConnell that also do it, but the Democrats are the grand champions. And notice, the Chi-Com agents like Mitch McConnell are all voting against Trump and his appointments. But, oh no, we're living under a flawed Constitution. Let's start fresh and rewrite it. LA Times. I mean, that's a major thing they push, is that damn Constitution. It is just an abomination.
Okay, so obviously some good points there Alex Jones is bringing out, and he is demonstrating how these secret organizations and kind of these pro-membership, pro bono, like fun, clubs the good old boys get together and get to do behind-the-scenes dealings with actually kind of get churned out. Like, how does it practically look? It's called something really nuanced. It's like, oh yes, this is just the preemptive lawyer's room, and it's all actually the Illuminati. Like, that's what the Illuminati is called. It's just these secret society types that are bumping and rubbing shoulders, and they're making plans. And you have to be a very exclusive person to be a part of the club. And you ain't in it, as George Carlin would say.
Yep.
Man, in another note, the world is getting crazy. There's this article I saw of just it shows you so much about the state and mental state of America. Here's the story of a woman who drowned her dog in an airport bathroom after being denied boarding because she missed some of the paperwork. Apparently, a woman drowned her dog in a Florida airport bathroom, then boarded her international flight after she was prevented from bringing the white miniature schnauzer with her because of a paperwork issue. Oh, man, this is so bad. The woman was arrested in Lake County on Wednesday in a charge of aggravated animal abuse. Oh, God. Okay, so it just shows you the mindset of inconvenience and just it is. I just had to tell you guys that this happened because it's like a metaphor for the overall mental state of America, and it's very sad. Oh, man. Here's another interesting one here. Apparently, Arizona Charter School approved to begin replacing human teachers with AI. So they are now slowly instituting AI teachers, which to give them the benefit of the doubt, right? An AI teacher is probably much more efficient at breaking information to children than a indoctrinated liberal teacher who only wants to talk about gender studies, right? However, we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful how we bring the AI technology and its ability to teach and train, which is, I will admit, very good. However, is it accurate? Because as we've covered in previous episodes, truth is only what is uploaded. So therefore, truth-seeking AIs that only have access to the lying information people have fed it are going to regurgitate bad, biased information. Are you so sure that you want your child being indoctrinated in the most efficient way possible by an AI that has biased information? Definitely a little check there. And
I was like a hands-on learner, and I know my wife, she's a great teacher, but she's a very hands-on teacher, and I feel like AI couldn't really do that. So that's kind of where it's like, it's kind of weird because there's like no personal like connection that you can make with students and stuff with the AI,
Yeah, there's a lot of different types of learners, and we've already figured out that the school system and 8 hours of a day sitting in a desk is not the best way to teach your children. Look at the alleged smartest guy right now in the US, Elon Musk, right? He doesn't put his children in a cubicle for 8 hours a day like they want the masses to. He has private tutors to cater to their individual interests as children. And that's how he's training them to be hyper specialized and to love what they're learning. And yet the system that we've inherited and the schooling system, which, by the way, the Department of Education and all that is under, inspection from the Trump administration, because there's been so many agendas that have been pushed onto generations and generations of school children through the public school system. But they've discovered that, oh, wait, you mean young boys that are full of testosterone actually mentally develop better when they're allowed to go outside and play and get hands-on with stuff? And it's not forcing them to be quiet in a small desk for 8 hours a day in a classroom. That's not what is actually going to make them excel. And then we look at the school reports of the statistics of who can read in places like Chicago and Illinois, and how children, this next generation, man, is basically becoming illiterate because they're so overstimulated by our scrolling media and our phones and tablets that they can't pay attention in the classroom, and so none of them are learning to actually do what the classroom is meant to teach them on. So like the budget for the education, budget for public education has only gone up, and test scores have only gone down. So there's something we need to figure out about this process of training our children. All right, so let's check this out. It's a clip from Newsmax about everything regarding Biden's presidency was apparently a ruse. Let's see what they have to say.
Welcome back to America Right Now. I'm Tom Basili. In one of the most iconic moments of Inauguration Day, Joe Biden boarded a Marine helicopter on the east front of the U.S. Capitol and lifted off, leaving Washington behind after a half century. He boarded an Air Force jet. He and the former First Lady headed off to the 8,000-acre estate of Democrat mega-donor Joe Kiani. And America's 46th president hasn't been seen since. Where's Joe? Now, don't get me wrong, folks.
Eating ice cream.
I'm not missing the angry speeches that demonize more than half the country.
The Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. What must be what? And that is a threat to this country.
I'm also not missing moments like this.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him, excuse me.
But, or this.
Ho, ho, ho. Happy Independence Day.
Ho, ho, ho. Happy Independence Day. But in our digital age, in our social media obsessed society, over the past 2 months, no photos, no video of he and Jill out at dinner in Delaware or California, no video of him cruising around on a nice day in that famous green Corvette of his, no walks on the beach, nothing. Is Joe Biden becoming the new Howard Hughes? This is important. Now, in the days since he left office,
we're
learning more and more about just how much the Biden presidency was a scam. Now, we knew he was napping during the day. We knew that the White House was evasive about the president's condition or the medications that he was on. We knew that Democrat advocates in the press and congressional leaders covered it all up. Revelations about the White House staff's use of an auto pen to sign documents, including executive orders and pardons, has raised new questions about Biden's involvement in the day-to-day administration of the nation's affairs. Here's Mike Johnson with one example of where staff may have made a unilateral decision concerning our energy policy, or a shocking example of the senility of the commander-in-chief.
Sir, why did you pause LNG exports to Europe? He looks at me stunned with this, and he said, I didn't do that. And I said, Mr. President, yes, you did. It was an executive order. Oh, you talk about natural gas. Yes, sir. He said, no, you misunderstand. He said, what I did is I signed this thing we're gonna conduct a study on the effects of LNG. I said, no, you're not, sir. You paused it. I know. I have the export terminals in my state. I talked to those people this morning. This is doing massive damage to our economy, national security. It occurred to me, Barry, he was not lying to me. He genuinely did not know what he had signed.
It's frightening. Now, folks say to me, why do you care, Tom? He's gone. Good riddance. But this is important. The effort of any group of people, especially leftist operatives, to turn the American presidency into a puppet show is a direct threat to the safety and the security and the survival of the republic. It plays into the hands of our enemies. Look, we know from the JFK files and other evidence that China and Russia have embedded operatives in our government. The Soviets started doing it in the 1930s. We may never know who was really in charge over those last 4 years. Keep in mind, the methods and the objectives of today's Democratic Party bear more resemblance to communist China and Russia than a mainline political party. We've discussed this before on this program. Cleon Skousen's 45 points exposed back in the 1950s of the communist roadmap for weakening and conquering this nation from within. Among those strategies was to co-opt the media, to take control of one of the major political parties in the United States, the Democratic Party, brand any opposition as racist and fascist and a threat to democracy, and make the Constitution increasingly irrelevant. Biden's disappearance over these last couple of months gives more credence to the notion that the whole presidency was a mirage that was influenced by a range of forces, domestic and perhaps foreign. I've long said that Biden's mental decline and his agenda were controlled and manipulated by forces closely aligned with Obama and socialist Bernie Sanders. But clearly there could have been others as well. Susan Rice, Obama's right-hand woman, was the most prominent and shadowy of figures during the Biden years. Press not only covered up Biden's decline, but ignored her powerful influence on executing the domestic agenda. She was the most powerful person in the White House, who almost never did interviews, who almost never saw her. I've long held that Biden's decline was obvious during the 2020 campaign, and that Biden and the Biden family were repackaged for a one-term presidency that would provide a bridge to a new generation of left-wing leader. Political strategist turned Washington's serial grifter into lunch pail Joe. We heard about all those stories about commuting on Amtrak, even though a bunch of them were made up. We heard about Joe's upbringing in a half-Jewish, half-Hispanic, half-coal miners town in Pennsylvania somewhere. We heard all about the Joe Biden, who was a great family man, as the press attempted to discredit his son's crimes and his daughter's diary. Recently, Chuck Todd had the courage to reveal the ruse.
Joe Biden never should have been there in the first place, right? Number one, he shouldn't have run for president. Not one, not two, but 3 Biden children, and I count Bo's widow, We're all dealing with drug problems in 2018, and Joe Biden said, now's a perfect time to run for president, because who cares about our family? There's this.
Okay, all right. Well, I don't really care if they were doing drugs or not. I mean, it doesn't change anything about Joe Biden. But, man, just interesting opinion there. It's like you can see mainstream media trying to, like, oh, man. They're trying. You know, just give the guy a bone. He's trying. He's trying to expose something. I don't know if it's useful at all, but... All right, check out this crazy story. It kind of reminds me of your creepy pastor clip from last episode. Mega church pastor faces jail after breaking into female parishioner's home, wandering through teens' bedrooms.
What?
Very interesting. In a disturbing incident that has sent shockwaves through the religious community, a mega church pastor was alleged caught on CCTV breaking into the home of a female parishioner and wandering through her teenage daughter's bedroom. Yeah. This is a megachurch in Lynchburg, founded by Jerry Falwell Sr. and affiliated with Liberty University. The video evidence reportedly shows the pastor entering the residence without permission and moving through the private areas, including the bedrooms of the homeowners. The incident has left the family shaken and prompted a swift response from law enforcement. Oh, man. Okay, so just to explain why we have such sexual deviancy in religious organizations is there's an ongoing motivation for people who have temptations and addictions to pornography or whatnot to put a face on and to hide who they truly are. And so when these people who are hiding their struggles are propped up into positions of authority, you have it manifesting in freaking crazy, creepy ways like that, where they are just can't help it anymore. They got to go and sneak through the underwear drawer or whatever. And, you know, I don't know the full situation of this guy. You know, maybe he left his cell phone there from a previous Bible study, and he had to go look underneath their teenage daughter's bed to BS, right? Like,
yep.
That's what's crazy. Like, that is not a normal thing, and it just shows, like, once again, it's a metaphor for the overall state of religion and the false facade that people put up that inwardly they're ravening wolves. And
yeah, it doesn't give them a good name. That's for sure. It doesn't help them out in any way.
Absolutely. It's the stink of the people of God, right? It's the bad example that brings a slight on what true faith should be, on what true love of the Almighty and true love of our neighbor should be, and true belief in the Messiah and living out a faith that is pure and genuine is tainted by these freaking creepos. And it's so sad to see, because people blind themselves because they hear bad and they ignore the good, the truth that's found in the scriptures. They ignore what it should look like, because there's so many bad representatives, and these pastors, these shepherds are just there because it's a business model, and they literally go to school to learn how to run a business. And then they go to their church and put on these facades. And it's not to say that all pastors and shepherds, whatnot, are like this. There's some good-hearted, genuine individuals. But with that said, it's just crazy to think about. This final article that I want to read through is very interesting. It's tied to, in a way, that little booklet that we were covering this previous live stream, and how NATO countries and the European Union are preparing for something big. So let's read this Tyler Durden article. It's very interesting what he brings out here. 7 actions that NATO countries are taking which indicate that something really big is coming. If peace is on the way, why are they feverishly preparing for World War III? It appears to me that NATO countries are convinced that something really big is coming. Is there something that they know that they aren't telling the rest of us? As I discussed yesterday, things in the Middle East are really heating up, and the conflict in Ukraine has reached a very dangerous stage. If negotiations with Russia fails, both sides are likely to significantly escalate matters in a desperate attempt to win the war. And the Russians could come to the conclusion that a final showdown with NATO has begun. We do not want the Russians to view the conflict in Ukraine in those terms because they are already extremely paranoid, and it would take much to push them over the edge. Unfortunately, NATO countries continue to do things that will raise tensions instead of easing them. You know, perhaps like passing out a booklet to all their constituents, preparing for World War III and showing like battle lines with Russia and the EU. Just like we covered with France doing recently and Norway as well. The following are 7 actions that NATO countries are taking which indicate that something really big is coming. Number 1, France is getting ready to distribute, I already covered this, a 20-page survival manual that instructs citizens what to do if a full-blown war erupts. France is the latest country to issue an invasion survival how-to guide for its citizens. The 20-page booklet will give advice to French civilians on how to defend the Republic in the face of an invasion. Oh man. French government is also telling their citizens to leave Iran immediately. French authorities on Thursday requested its citizens to immediately leave the territory of Iran, particularly because of some of the threats that we see the United States dishing out on Yemen and the interconnectivity between Iran and Yemen and the Houthis that are being bombed to heck by the U.S. government right now. The French foreign minister has issued a warning to its citizens amid the release of one of its nationals who had been imprisoned in Iran for 180 days. Number 3, it is being reported that military planners in the UK have ordered Special Forces units to get ready to be sent to Ukraine. Special Forces units were told to prepare for mobilization to Ukraine by military planners tasked with readying forces by the Cabinet Office, according to 2 military sources with knowledge in the directive. The Command Center for UK Military Planning, the permanent joint headquarters, was sent directives last week to begin the process of the deployment of personnel and resources. The orders, which also applied to Special Forces reservists, puts personnel on standby in order to ensure military equipment was in working order before receiving a notice to mobilize to Ukraine. Number 4, Turkey has announced that it would also be willing to deploy troops to Ukraine if needed. Turkey would be ready to deploy troops to Ukraine as part of a broader peacekeeping mission if needed, a Turkey Defense Ministry source said on Thursday. The issue of contributing to a mission will be evaluated with all relevant parties if deemed necessary for the establishment of regional stability and peace. The Russians have already stated that they will never accept NATO troops on Ukraine soil under any circumstances. So, if any NATO troops show up in Ukraine soil, it's on like Donkey Kong. So, why are these nations preparing to send troops anyway, right? Number 5, Poland is preparing for a showdown with Russia by conscripting every adult male for military training. Warsaw is preparing to face down any invasion by Vladimir Putin by conscripting every adult male for military training. But the Eastern European nation also wants nukes, and President Andrzej Duda has now said the U.S. could send some of his arsenal to his country, in Poland. Number 6, Baltic states are jointly constructing a massive defense line that includes 600 bunkers, tank ditches, dragon's teeth, and rocket systems. The Baltics are building a joint defense line in their border with Russia that will have some 600 bunkers across each border. It will also include tank ditches, forests, dragon's teeth, hedgehogs, and rocket systems. Poland and the Baltics have also withdrawn an international treaty banning anti-personnel landmines. Oh, how coinkadinkle. They just withdrew from that little international treaty banning anti-personnel landmines, in a preparation to stop an advancing Russian army in its tracks. Oh my gosh, man. Number 7, in a letter that was delivered to the Iranians, Donald Trump has given Iran only 2 months to reach a peace agreement. President Donald Trump has given Iran a 2-month deadline to reach a new nuclear agreement, according to a report. A letter sent earlier this month to the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, warned of consequences of Tehran continued its nuclear program while also offering renewed talks. The message, described as uncompromising, made clear that prolonged negotiations were not an option. So the article concludes, so the good news is that the bombing of Iran will probably not happen next month. It'll happen in 2 months. But if Trump is serious, there's very good chance that it could happen before the midpoint of this year. Meanwhile, the Ukrainians just conducted an absolutely massive drone strike on Russia's strategic bomber airfield that is located hundreds of miles from the front lines, likely aided by the NATO military equipment being funneled into Ukraine. Ukrainian forces, backed by Western munitions and technology, struck a major strategic bomber airfield. Ukrainians keep trying to provoke the Russians into doing something really dramatic so that they can be a poster child to motivate all of these EU nations and NATO nations to actually step and toe on the line. Oh man, one of these days the Ukrainians just might succeed. We really are right on the verge of an apocalyptic conflict with Russia, and we really are right on the verge of an apocalyptic conflict in the Middle East. The final exit ramps for both of these conflicts are rapidly approaching, and so let us hope that global leaders make very wise decisions in the next months ahead. Wow. Very sobering language from the correspondent Tyler Durden, you know, from the movie Fight Club. He's like the crazy side of you that says what you want to say but don't actually say, right? Yep. But man, very, very interesting times we live in, Jeremiah. And that's the last of my articles for this week. For those of you who are watching, if you would, go and jump over to tribethegame.net and check out my board game. I have just a few remaining copies of my first edition, and I'm trying to sell them so that I can order my next bulk order of games so we can get some fun board games into the hands of friends and family that are interested in a strategy game that has biblical theming but is not overtly religious in any way. It's just a really well-rounded strategy game, and I hope you guys will get your hands on it. And not only that, I'm trying to grow my social media presence, so please go and follow me on both TikTok, Instagram, and X at Jake2Human. Jake2Human, because it's my messaging to mankind, you know, my social media. But anyways, thank you guys so much. And Jeremiah, that's all for this week.
All right, thanks, Jake, for another great current news as always. And if you guys want to subscribe to my social media, it's Jeremiah Skiba Official. But that was a shameless plug. Now, a quick look at the Babylon Rising bookstore.
Check out our new and improved BabylonRisingBooks.com, where you can get Rob Skiba's books, bundles, DVDs, DVD-ROMs, videos, and so much more. You can even get Sheila and Jeremiah's books, so check it out now.
Oh, hey. It's about that time for an all-new Uppa's Corner. Take it away, Uppa.
Well, before we get started, I'd like to let everybody know that recently, matter of fact yesterday, I received in the mail my own YouTube play button. And so I took a picture of it so that y'all could see it. Opa's Corner, 100 subscribers.
Yeah, let's get them up to 1,000.
Yeah, woo! Good job.
Yeah, and I put him right under...
Mic's off.
Your mic is off.
And I put him right under our Skiba News Nation play button. Right
Sweet.
over here.
Awesome.
Okay, so let's get started with an Opa's Corner.
Mein Hut, der hat 3 Ecken. 3 Ecken hat mein Hut. Und hat nicht 3 Ecken, dann ist es nicht mein Hut.
The strange, the bizarre, the unexpected. These are the kinds of subjects a man named Robert L. Ripley challenged us to believe it or not.
Believe it or not, you.
Wally, believe it or not.
Believe it or not.
Believe it!
You're a loony.
There are no Walmarts in New York City. I guess higher prices every day doesn't work. Believe it or not. The Earth receives enough sunlight every day to meet all of humanity's energy needs 10,000 times over. Believe it or not. Vikings brought their pet cats on raids. Attack! Believe it or not. California was its own country for 25 days in 1846. Believe it or not. White noise is the equal mixture of every frequency detectable by the human ear. The Simpson characters were colored bright yellow so that they would stand out while someone flipped through TV channels. Dole. Believe it or not. William Howard Taft was the first U.S. president to work in the White House's Oval Office, and every president since has followed his lead. Believe it or not. The phrase never odd or even is spelled the same, forward and backward. Freaky. I'll let you guys ponder that for a little bit. Believe it or not. If humans had the ability to see like eagles, we would be able to see an ant crawling on the ground from the roof of a 10-story building. Believe it or not. The Australian Parliament passed a ban on guards and attendants using the word mate to address lawmakers and visitors. The ban lasted only one day until it was overturned. Good day, mate. Believe it or not. Until 1804, the U.S. presidential candidate who received the second highest electoral votes became the vice president. Just think. Trump and Harris. Or, Trump and Clinton? Believe it or not. Gina Keller of Ontario, Canada, taught Koa, her son Conur Parrot, dozens of tricks, including how to paint. I wonder if she's related to Helen. Believe it or not. The first electric car in the U.S. debuted around 1890 in Des Moines, Iowa, and had a top speed of 20 miles per hour. Take that, Elon. Believe it or not. Throughout his life, George Washington wore multiple sets of dentures made from a variety of materials, including ivory, gold, lead, and human teeth, but never wood. Believe it or not. Sperm whales only have teeth on their lower jaw. Their upper jaw contains sockets the teeth fit into. Believe it or not. The lottery. A tax on people who are bad at math. It's lonely at the top, but you do eat better. Always go to other people's funerals, or they won't go to yours. If we aren't supposed to eat animals, why are they made of meat? Few women admit their age. Few men act it. We have enough youth. How about a fountain of smart? Campers. Nature's way of feeding mosquitoes. Always remember that you are unique, just like everyone else. Consciousness, that annoying time between naps. Why is abbreviation such a long word?
That's a good point.
The severity of an itch is inversely proportional to the ability to reach it. Okay, who stopped payment on my reality check? Don't steal. The government hates competition. Humpty Dumpty was pushed. Atheism is a non-profit organization. Mom's Diner.
No dessert for you, young man, until you clean up your plate. Sit up straight at the table, Buster. No talking with food in your mouth, young lady.
Egad! Another flat!
He bit the Godfather.
The Lone Ranger, long since retired, makes an unpleasant discovery. Indian Dictionary.
Oh, here it is. Kemosabe, Apache expression for a horse's rear end.
What the hey? Turtle World. Your pet will love it. Cartoon readings. And in the next panel, the other cat says, "Oh boy, here we go again." Hey, are they making fun of Opa's Corner?
Yes, yes. Now don't fuss. I have something for you all.
Well, here's your problem, Marge.
if you and Bob really want kids, next time try sitting on these little guys. The Cold Cereal Cookbook. Oh, wait, Corey. Add the cereal first and then the milk. Do you see the peeping Tom in this lineup, ma'am? Loch Ness Mobsters. Who are we kidding, Luke? We know this is going to be just another standoff. Don't you hate it when you build a time machine, return from the future, and forget what you were going to warn everyone about? Fold. NASA. Something big is going down, sir. They're heading your way now. Okay. Those who want to call our new club the Buccaneers, raise their hands. Hey! Who's the wise guy that keeps cracking his knuckles? City Electric. This is the place, all right. And it looks like it's been stuck on Don't Walk for some time. Wishing Well, 5 cents. Out of order. What really happened to Humpty?
Yeah, that's accurate.
Henry VIII on the dating scene. We want her back by midnight, understand? And by thunder, you better be married before you even think of cutting her head off. Whack-a-mole from the inside. You idiots. Let me go up there and see what's really going on. You want me to stop the car, Larry? Or do you want to take your brother off the rack this instant? What are they protesting? With that chicken scratch, we may never know. Your dog. When you call your dog. Your cat. When you call your cat.
It's very accurate.
Good news. I got a promotion. Finally, we get to move to a new house in Area 52. The Great Wiener Dog Trail Drive. Originally, Tricia was upset that her cat licked the cupcakes. You're so artistic, Tricia. I love the swirly designs. To give himself a perfect excuse whenever he was pulled over for speeding, Mario kept a live hornet in a jar in his glove compartment. Ah! Hornet! Hornet in the car! Huh. I bet you their meetings don't last very long. The only thing flat earthers have to fear is sphere itself. And that concludes another Opa's Corner.
Mein Hund, der hat Dreiecken. Dreiecke hat mein Hund. Vorne hat die Dreiecken. Da ist die mein Hund.
Opa's Corner is now available on my own YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe.
Thank you, Opa, for another great Opa's Corner. And now a quick word from our new friends at Corporate Bloom. So check this out. Hey, Skiba News Nation family. We're excited to announce something cool with you guys. We are now teaming up with Corporate Bloom. They have a new system that puts over 30 AI tools all in one place. Normally priced at $29.99, you can try it out now and get 25% off with your first month using code Skiba at checkout. This helps with beta testing, and you get to use some amazing tools. Remember, use code Skiba at checkout. We can't wait to see what you guys come up with and what you create with it. So check out corporatebloom.com. And the link for them will be down in the description. Seems super cool. It is super cool. And yeah, now it's time for an all new History's Mysteries. So this week's History's Mysteries we're going to be calling the Slinky Conspiracy, Cults, Cash, and the Rockefellers. Now you might be thinking, what does a Slinky or a Slinky dog have to do with the cult and the Rockefellers? Well, the creator of the Slinky, his name was Richard James, and I mean, you know the toy. Everybody knows the toy. Opa, you had a Slinky as a kid, I'm sure, right?
Yep, sure did.
And so did I. I mean, everybody's had one at one point. But the innocent childhood favorite is so bizarre. The backstory of it is so bizarre, it'll make your head legit spin. So let's go ahead and get a better understanding of the father of the Slinky, Richard James. Check this out.
A man named Richard James invented the Slinky as a way to entertain his family, but it soon became the reason he was forced to abandon them.
The first time I ever hugged my dad was when he left, and I'll never forget that I did it. So,
I think the milestone that really stands out is my husband leaving.
However, before leaving them with a company on the verge of bankruptcy, there was a time when Richard just wanted to provide for his family. It's 1943, the middle of World War II. Richard is a mechanical engineer working in a shipyard for the Navy. His job is to develop new types of springs for their ships. And one day, there's an accident.
Well, my earliest memory of Slinky was my husband coming home from work and had this thing in his hand, and the spring fell off a table and gave him the idea that he might be able to make it walk.
The coils of round wire wouldn't stand up, he said. So just for fun, I had the company make me a couple dozen samples of flat wire.
And when he finally got the properties and everything right, we brought Tom in, who was just a little full at that time. And then my husband said, let's try putting down the stairs. And I was speechless. So then we brought in neighborhood children to see if they liked it, and everybody seemed to like it.
One of the boys' parents say their kid has so much fun playing with it that he should sell the springs as toys. And my wife Betty, who thought I was foolish to spend 2 years tinkering with wire springs, agreed. All they need now is a name.
My husband said, you have to name it. I didn't know how or what I would call it, so I thought, well, get a dictionary and see if I can find anything that is sort of depictive of what this does. And the word Slinky was it.
Richard and Betty have some trouble selling the idea at first. However, eventually out of pity, the store Gimbel's allows him to sell his toys there in their toy section on one end of a table. for one evening, and he has to stand there the whole time to demonstrate the toy. Like the other stores, they assume the kids won't know how to use it.
And I thought, oh, you know, if he doesn't sell any, he's going to feel so sad. So I called a friend of mine and I said, if I give you $1, will you go with me and buy a Slinky? So that if no one else is buying, at least it'll look like he has customers.
Richard sells all 400 Slinkies in 90 minutes. The scene is straight out of one of those Hollywood pictures. His wife couldn't even locate him in the mob, while the crowd, waving dollar bills in the air, begged for more. We didn't sleep that night, the young couple admit. We just marveled and planned. You see, Richard was right about one thing, something that all the stores who said no to them got wrong. This isn't just a spring. This spring can walk. The store is now convinced the toys will sell, and they immediately put in an order for 5,000. The next month, Richard quits his engineering job and commits himself to Slinky. He rented factory space in Germantown. He made his own tools, he borrowed more money, and set to work. It was a hard gamble, he said. My family thought I was crazy to give up an engineering career over a toy. However, those worries quickly disappeared. Over the next 2 years, Slinky sells over 100 million units, which equals around $1 billion today. Of course, the simple fun plays a big role in his popularity, but also the price point being $1 makes it so everyone can own a Slinky. Eventually, they decide to expand their line of toys, introducing the Slinky Train, Slinky Caterpillar, Slinky Crazy Eyes, and the most well-known of all,
the original Slinky dog, but this is probably one of the very rarest. What's nice about this is it was featured in one commercial, and the commercial was, there are Slinky mobiles with big Slinky wheels with pistons that move when they go. You pull them along, they have a great sound.
Nerd.
The driver jumps around like crazy. That's the only time they were ever mentioned in a commercial.
Betty and Richard are suddenly a textbook example of the American dream. And with more than enough free time and money to spare, they have 5 more kids. And it's a big, happy home. For a while.
Oh, hey guys. Oh, sorry. So Richard and his wife went from nothing to, from rags to riches, from nothing to something. And, you know, they were, you know, doing well. They were creating different kinds of Slinkies. And even if you've never had a Slinky, you've seen Toy Story. I mean, Slinky Dog. I mean, that's literally this thing, which I can't stop playing with. But that story, that's all good, had a quick turn and a complete 180, and I'll just let you see it for yourself. Check the second clip out.
I think the milestone that really stands out is my husband leaving.
In the later half of the 1950s, Slinky enters a slump, but Richard seems like he doesn't really care. And around the year 1958, he announces he's leaving. Not just the company, but also his family and the country.
He called and said, did I want to see him? And I was older then, and I said, yeah, I sure do. And we went down and I visited with him. The first time I ever hugged my dad was when he left. And I'll never forget that I did it. And so my kids get hugs every day. So, silly thing.
He became involved in a religious cult. And he decided that he was going to go to South America, and he went to Bolivia.
This announcement comes out of nowhere and leaves his family just as surprised as everyone else. However, looking back at his behavior in the years leading up to his departure, there was definitely something off. This cult she mentions, Richard isn't just involved with them. Despite the phenomenal early success of the Slinky, by the late 1950s sales had peaked, along with Richard's interest in the company. He became involved with a religious sect, allegedly funneling company profits to them and squandering a fortune. He says he contributes about 30% of his income and the income of James Industries to church work. Since about 6 months ago, it would be inaccurate to describe him as a millionaire. By 1960, he informed his wife he was moving to Bolivia to live with members of the group.
Being the inventor, he was given all kinds of praise and everything, and he loved it. I think when he wasn't getting all the attention up here, he needed it, and he went down there where he could be a big man.
He gave her a choice of going with him, selling the company, or for her to take it over.
I said, why, of course I'll run it. I really think when he asked me that, he thought I would say sell it.
So when he goes to Bolivia, not only is he leaving his family, but he's leaving them with this business on the verge of bankruptcy.
Oh, we were in great debt because he had given so much money to this group, and even some of our equipment.
And he does all of this for this religious organization that for some reason nobody knows the name of. Here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. To truly understand what this organization is, I need to tell you about this man, Nelson Rockefeller. Nelson is the former Vice President of the United States. He's a certified gazillionaire, and he is the grandson of John D. Rockefeller, the founder of Standard Oil.
Rockefeller, we know what you're doing. We know what you're doing to the world. You've rushed it. You screwed up. You're not going to stop the Irish, Rockefeller, you scumbag!
In case this means nothing to you and you have no idea what I'm talking about, quick little history lesson on this guy. Now, you know how there's like different gas stations? There's ExxonMobil, Arco, Chevron, Shell. Yeah, well, back in the day, there was only one that owned almost all of the gas, and that is Standard Oil. They would have owned all the gas, but the other companies got mad and people got mad, so they pretend like they're not gonna try and own all the gas.
You got the wrong guy. I'm the dude, man.
But then they do a little Joker smile, and then a behind the back trick shot, and buy all the other gas companies. So now not only do they own all the gas, they own all the gas companies. Checkmate. Fast forward a few years, the family is still in the business of oil, and John's grandson Nelson has taken particular interest in South America and Africa, as underdeveloped areas are known for being literal and metaphorical gold mines of untapped resources. However, extracting these resources requires cooperation with locals, and the Rockefellers know doing this takes time. Any attempt to force cooperation immediately risks violence and public ridicule. Luckily, they're patient people and devise a long-term plan. Rather than trying to force people to like us and let us in, their plan focuses on getting people to be like us. This is based on a psychology concept you're probably aware of and don't even realize it. It's called the likeness principle. Simply put, we're much more likely to be persuaded by those who are similar to us. Most likely, if two people are following the same religion, they're automatically similar in a lot of ways. Knowing this, Nelson Rockefeller starts funding missionary groups, which he can use to spread our religions to places where he wants to do business.
So Richard James abandoned his family and went to South America to join this cult, religious cult, with the Rockefellers. I mean, none of it really makes sense. And to be honest, his wife is the real Slinky legacy. Like, she is the hero of the story. But that's beyond my point. So to learn a little bit more about how the Rockefellers and the Slinky Man and all this stuff goes together, and before I get Jake and Opa's opinions, I'll go ahead and play this last clip.
Now, finally, let's move forward to 1976. Reporters Gerard Colby and Charlotte Dennett travel to Brazil to write about some of the weird events surrounding Christian missionaries in the Amazon rainforest.
Throughout the Amazon, about 100,000 people, mostly women and children, disappeared in the Amazon. Disappeared? In other words, they died.
They soon learn these missionaries are essentially doing the dirty work of a mysterious organization called the Summer Institute of Linguistics, or as they're known in America, Wycliffe Bible Translators.
What we found out is that, yes, evangelical missionaries were used to pacify the Indians in a very sophisticated way.
Wycliffe has one goal: convert everyone on the planet to Christianity, as this is the key to fulfilling the prophecy of the second coming of Christ. On the surface, this is a totally normal, insane proposition, until you see the lengths to which they'll go to accomplish this. Charlotte notices signs that these missionaries are mentally unstable, clearly struggling to cope with the modern world. It becomes apparent that Wycliffe is intentionally seeking out vulnerable people and using cult-like tactics to turn them into puppets. Sorry, not just cult-like, these are by-the-book cult tactics. The reason cults have such dedicated followings is simple. They isolate their members from the outside world. This usually starts by finding a lonely person, then giving them lots of praise and attention. Some refer to this as love bombing. They then introduce some sort of cause, usually that the world is bad and they're the only good guys. If the potential victim shows interest, the love bombing continues, and the cause starts to consume the person's life. Everything else in their world, like their family and their job, becomes trivial. And unsurprisingly, these things start to fall apart, until eventually it seems like there's nothing left besides the cult and their cause, often leading members to cut all ties with outsiders, including friends and family. And Wycliffe is certainly no exception here, as this is exactly what they did to Richard James. From what I could gather, Richard was just used for his money and purchased printing supplies that he brought down to Bolivia. However, other people are sometimes put in situations that could turn up fatal.
John Allen Chow wanted to bring Christianity to the people of North Sentinel Island in the Bay of Bengal. Fishermen reported they watched as tribe members shot him with arrows.
Meanwhile, back at home, Betty is left to pick up the pieces Richard left behind. But luckily, she's not about to give up on it.
I traveled back and forth for a year between Philly and here. I'd come up on Thursdays and do all the things the children needed and go back Sunday. It was a worst year.
She would drive alone 240 miles to Philadelphia.
He was too busy with his own life to notice these children. So I had 6 good reasons why I had to keep going.
In the late 60s, during the rise of television, she catches an opportunity that might just save the company.
It's so fantastic that you have to see her to believe it. Turn on the light. Baby Boo starts crying.
Like a real baby.
Inchworm, I love you. Inchworm, I love you. Ride up and down on the Inchworm from Romper Room.
It was at the time when everybody was having jingles. And I said, Tom, could you get a jingle for us? He contacted these 2 men, and they wrote the jingle.
Remember? Huh? A walks downstairs, a loner in pairs, everyone knows it's just a big spring.
Well, the song isn't really around anymore, Slinky sure is, and that's largely because of the jingle, as well as all of Betty's other decisions, like introducing the plastic Slinky.
Our item is so old that the country changed around us. The treads started getting wider and not as high, so we came up with plastic. And this thing will take longer steps.
And in the early 90s, making a deal with Disney that would truly cement Slinky in history.
They said, we're calling to see if John Lasseter could come in and visit you. So he came in, and he had seen our old dog, and he liked it. And he asked if he could use it in the film Toy Story.
Those are still selling like crazy today. And thanks to Betty's protest towards Disney, making sure all the toys remain affordable, Slinky Dog's only like $20, and the original Slinky has only gone up $3 since it was first introduced in 1945. So thank you, Betty, and rest in peace. The family never heard from Richard again, and he died in Bolivia in 1974. The last words they ever got from him were letters he sent to Betty, asking her to join him in Bolivia. I think this just goes to show how far this cult was willing to go to get money out of him. Wycliffe is still around, and they receive funding from the Rockefeller Foundation and the United States government. There's theories that they were used to make it easier for us to go and get oil in these places. Whether Richard was in on this, I don't think we'll ever know. But be careful out there, and
I don't know if you guys caught that, but there was a USAID that was connected with the Rockefellers, and I mean, that's pretty crazy just because of what's happening now. And Opa, did you ever know that Slinky, the man who made the Slinky, was a part of a cult?
Nope, sure didn't, and I don't even remember the jingle.
Everybody wants a Slinky, you gotta get it. At least that's from the Jim Carrey movie. What are your thoughts, Jake?
So as a missionary kid growing up, I can speak probably more from a place of knowledge regarding missional outreaches and communities living in other countries trying to do the work of the Lord, right? And you have to take them on a case-by-case basis. And just because it's in a foreign country and they have the desire to spread the gospel doesn't mean it's a cult. Although many church groups and cults have similarities in the way that they draw resources and commitment from members. I will say that it's really interesting that, apparently this guy felt the need to pack up and just ship down to South America, and he ended up dying there, of all things. I'm kind of curious to do a deeper in-depth study into the Wycliffe Bible kind of ministry or whatever that they had going on. But just like we covered earlier in the news segment, people often use the guise of religion to motivate to justify ulterior motives. And so sometimes the most wicked people you'll find are found within the church system. They're the ravening wolves, so to speak. And so I don't know specifically if this guy was just part of a group that drew his resources and caused him to give up on his family, which sounds very strange, or perhaps the mother was just very stubborn and refused to go with them, and the whole time he was like, well, look, I'm going down to South America, I want you to be here with me. And so that there was kind of a melancholy flavor in the way they describe that interaction, or if he truly is just a brainwashed cult guy, or what you know, the nefarious nature of the cult down in Bolivia actually was, because you know, it was very vague in that. So to just call it like,
well, and this behind this cult was to, you know, mingle with the people that lived in South America and then to get oil. That was the whole reason for it. And so they were funneling money from all these people that had, you know, making them feel good, making them feel like they're worth something, you know, like because he was the Slinky guy, so we're gonna make him feel good, so he comes and joins us. And I don't think the lady was a crazy feminist, but I do think she was trying to provide for her family, and she knew that she couldn't do that in a different country. That's how I feel about it, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, the guy had a huge company making lots of money. He had a wife, he had kids. He still was responsible for providing for his family and being there for his family, but he decided that he was just going to take off, and not only that, give tons of money from him and his company to this organization, and to hell with my kids. That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he did it that way, that's definitely wrong. I mean, he's got the wrong heart behind it if he's leaving his family behind. Although, you know, I was just saying those things because the definition that this video had for cult and for people showing up in South America trying to, you know, intermingle with the people is basically the same definition for pretty much every missionary organization throughout the world.
Well, I mean, that's like saying every teacher is bad. I mean, it's the same kind of argument, which I get what you're saying. Not every missionary has bad intentions. A lot of them have good intentions, but some of them are pretty bad, just like, you know, any profession. It's the same way, for sure.
Yeah, and I've seen that firsthand, is that through mission organizations, oftentimes there's such a collaborative effort to cover up wrongdoing that atrocities and child abuse and all kinds of things can happen in these overseas organizations that go under the flagship of missionary. And so it's like, you know, there's actual like truth to what they're talking about in terms of if they showed up with just the sheer motivation to get their resources and their oil and stuff, like, man, it's a really good template to show how this happens in many organizations of different denominations and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's all I got for the Slinky guy. Google it. Everybody do your research and look into the cult for us, or the mission organization for us. And why don't you guys let us know what you guys think about this whole situation and the backstory of the Slinky and the Slinky dog and all the cool stuff. And I'm offended that they never made a Slinky cat, but that's just my personal opinion. But
that's their new product, bro.
Yep. So I got one more clip. Please excuse my sense of humor, volume 14. So check this out. Take that, dogs.
This song is they're going to sing for you is the devil's in the phone booth dialing 911. Come up here, ladies, and bless these people.
Well, the devil's in the phone booth dialing 911. Well, the church is on their knees and they're loading up the spiritual gun. Well, the devil thought he had us, but the tables are turned, and now he's on the run. The devil's in the phone booth, dialing 911. My whole life.
Sir, I can't help but notice your shirt says pastor and cowboys.
Yes, sir.
How's that possible? I thought pastors weren't supposed to be gay.
Hi, how you doing today?
Hi,
Why I
how
always
are you?
use self-checkout.
Hi, did you find everything you need today?
How do you like this weather?
Good morning, would you like a cart?
See, that's a nice pin you're wearing. Oh, I see you picked one of my favorites here.
Hi, Mrs. Martin. Good to see you again.
I've added some more people to the Epstein Island painting finally. Oprah Winfrey, pre-Ozempic, with Harvey Weinstein on her back. Now, of course, she was never that big, but she needed to bulk up to carry him. And I will be adding more in the future. And then once I've added more, I'll render it and make it look better.
My beautiful wife, Megan. All right, she's going for you. We all are.
So I hope you guys enjoyed my Please Excuse My Sense of Humor, and that's all I got. But before we get into memes, a quick word from our friend Kristen. I want to introduce you guys to somebody named Kristen, who's one of the biggest forces behind Skiba News Nation. This is Kristen. She helps us get all the big guests. I understand that you're doing this full time now, so how can people find out how to use your service?
Well, I started Fellow Helper Agency, and you can go to fellowhelperagency.com. And I do any of the behind the scenes, email, getting the interviews, and I do prep work for the shows as well. I do timestamps and moderating.
She is the best with connects. If you like any of our shows, any of our big guests, she's the person to go to. And if you have a channel, definitely go to our website. So go check out fellowhelperagency.com. All right, Jake, you got some memes for me?
All right, yes I do. We have a super awesome video and 2 memes that stood out to me this week. Let's check it out.
All right, meme me up. Meme me up.
So this is the video I'm deeming Shocktopus. Check it out.
Amazing newly released video shows a most unlikely traveling duo in New Zealand, an octopus riding on the back of a shark. The University of Auckland just released video on social media of the odd encounter, which was actually captured in late 2023 when a research team was monitoring feeding frenzies off New Zealand's northeastern coast. The team spotted a strange orange mass on a mako shark's head and sent in a pair of cameras for a closer look. That's when they realized the odd blob was a coiled octopus hitching a ride on the huge predator. The university nicknamed the peculiar pairing the Sharktopus and later called it one of the strangest things their scientists had ever seen. Speaking of weird and wild rides, that's what a goat on the go in Ohio took cops on when it got loose on a busy state road. Akron officers chased the stubborn silly billy as it bobbed and weaved and barely avoided oncoming traffic, but they did eventually catch up to it. As far as notable collars
Cuff
go,
'em,
it
boys.
might not be the goat, but it's still a goat, and that's something. Bad goats, what you gonna do, am I right? That's a sheep, you idiot! Alrighty then. Well, gone in 60 seconds would be a great nickname for this last video showing a weather balloon swiftly swept away during a National Weather Service team launch in wind-whipped New Mexico. More like gone in 6 seconds. I'm sure the team was prepared for this, but it still reminds me of the failed Rescue Falcon launch from The Simpsons.
I don't think he's coming back.
Or take a look at this. I'm Jeremy Roth.
Oh man, I think that was hilarious. And whoa, what a crazy scene. A shark and octopus uniting to conquer the oceans.
Yep.
Oh, love it. You don't see that every day. Good reminder here. Our school system described in one image. Everybody has to take the same test. Please climb that tree. You got a lot of different animals in that classroom. Very interesting. And last little interesting meme ties in our whole news segment this week is the more you study the Bible, the more you see how Satan has deceived the world. And while there are many, many bad examples of religious men and whitewashed tombs and wolves in sheep's clothing, we got to keep in mind that there is truth. And so we got to be willing to hunt for it with our whole heart. And just like the scriptures say, if you seek Yah with your whole heart, you'll find him. And some of these guys, they've played the part for far too long. And no wonder the whole world has got a bad taste in their mouth. But, all right, guys, that's all the memes for this week.
All right, I wanted to give a big shout out to Sir W. That's where I got the history segment today, and I just wanted to say go subscribe to his channel. I really enjoy his content, and he doesn't really have a lot of subscribers, so check out his channel. But yeah, Jake, thank you for another great current news and memes as always. Opa, thank you for another great Opus Corner. I hope you guys enjoyed today's History's Mysteries, and please excuse my sense of humor. Stay awake, not woke, subscribe, and stay tuned. If you like what we do here on Skiba News Nation, please like and subscribe, and also share with others so we can grow the biggest truth-seeking community on the internet. Huge shout out to all of our Patreons out there. If you like bonus content, you want some extra Skiba News Nation stuff, please go to patreon.com/Skiba News Nation.
Son of the legendary Ross Jeremiah Skiba.
It's like I don't even want to wake up.